Hello and welcome. How to reposition Nigeria in the post-COVID-19 era takes center stage as Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo and some state governors share their perspectives at the platform in Lagos. Federal government releases guidelines for the implementation of the first phase of the lockdown relaxation, vows to prosecute anyone who fails to wear a face mask. 22 more patients discharged from isolation centers in Lagos as Kaduna State reports first death from COVID-19. And U.S. COVID-19 death toll rises above 65,000, the highest in the world. Plus, business and sports.
On business news tonight, Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai recommends adoption of new business module to match socio-economic changes and disruptions caused by COVID-19 pandemic.
On sports news tonight, English Football Association says the financial losses from the COVID-19 shutdown could reach $375 million.
The battle against COVID-19 may still be raging, but in order not to be caught off guard when it's all over, the country must begin to strategize to deal with the impact of the health crisis. For this reason, the federal government is emphasizing the need to take advantage of local resources to reposition the economy. These are some of the views put forward by the nation's Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, at the platform organized by the Covenant Nation, focusing on the COVID-19 pandemic. For the convener of the platform, Pastor Poju Oyemade, as well as the governor of Ekiti State, Nigeria must begin to rebuild for the future.
One of the new realities after the outbreak of COVID-19, but with new challenges, come new methods and opportunities.
We never thought we'll be holding platform in an empty auditorium, but still reaching millions of people.
He elaborates on the needs in the health sector, which should be one of the developments to deal with the pandemic.
UCH then was regarded as one of the best 10 hospitals in the Commonwealth nations region, which included therefore hospitals in England, Wales, Scotland, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. That showed the kind of healthcare system that was in Nigeria then. This shows how much we have dropped the ball on healthcare in this nation. And I hope this time will serve as a wake-up call to this nation to lay emphasis upon rebuilding the infrastructure of the health system in this nation.
The consequences of the pandemic has gone beyond the health sector. This has made obvious areas which require attention.
Nigeria must emerge from this crisis with a plan to create jobs, reduce poverty, and put food on the table of our citizens. We must attract investment required to bridge our infrastructure deficit and prioritize the provision of critical investment in education, healthcare, security, and other social protection needs.
With lockdown comes a decrease in economic activities, coupled with the dwindling of crude oil prices. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, says the solution lies in local resources.
We are now at a point where it has been demonstrated that by using local resources, local technology, locally developed technology, etc., it is possible for us to enumerate accurately practically every Nigerian. This 4 million feet was achieved in a period of under 3 months. And we're 200 million. So it's entirely possible for us to do everything, to get the digital data, the thumbprint data, the facial capture, practically everything that we need to do.
The Vice President heads a 7-man special economic policy team, saddled with the responsibility to strategize on ways to reduce the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Other state governors who also participated at the platform took turns to explain the lessons they are drawing from COVID-19 and measures they are adopting in dealing with the spread and reducing the impact on their people. They are the governors of Kaduna, Lagos, Edo, Nasarawa, and Delta states.
I was the first case, and I got it in Abuja, and I infected 4 other people. Happily, all of us are okay now. We are all back to our normal lives.
The governor of Kaduna State, Nasiru El-Rufai, is a survivor and is understandably very passionate about stopping the spread of COVID-19. For him, the strategy has been to protect lives.
When this thing broke out, we did not have a single testing center in Kaduna State. Today, we have 2 that are working, and so far we've tested nearly 400 people. We hope to have a 3rd one commissioned next week. The equipment was installed yesterday, and we hope NCDC will certify it okay during the week so that we have a 3rd testing center.
There may, however, be some good from this. With a record of the highest confirmed cases in the country, the Lagos state government is set to adjust health spending to accommodate a more developed infrastructure in the sector.
Part of the things that we have started doing even this year is to see how we increase our budgetary allocation on the health sector. So we have said to ourselves that over the next 4 years, we will increase that budget to as close to 18-20% as possible. And I think this year we'll have about 12-13%. So what that means is that we're even probably going to be spending a lot more in that sector.
In South, Edo and Delta states, the governors promised that the very vulnerable and the youth would be reached, and they have worked with communication companies to collect the needed data.
Those people in our states who cannot afford more than about 300 naira a month to recharge their phones, who have analog phones or who don't even have phones, they only have SIM cards. We're identifying those. We have about 125,000 of them now. And we're going to, working with some of our financial institutions, we're going to create electronic wallets to see how we can now begin to transfer money to them until we get out of this unfortunate situation.
This will going to enhance the amount of money available for them in the budget to be able to train more of our youths and then keep them out of the street. Because the more of our youths are on the street, the more likely we're going to run into crisis concerning managing the security and managing the protection of our oil facilities.
With a 70% agro base in Nasarawa State, the governor, Abdullahi Sule, has embraced commercial agriculture and promised to scale up in activities of small and local farmers.
We are promoting the outgrowers zones, which I have mentioned to you again earlier, from most of these big players. For instance, Azuman is going to do rights on 14,000 hectares of land. By our own policy, 30% of that should go to the outgrowers, while it is 70% of that should go to the company, the parent company. In addition to that, we are looking at so many other small farmers, and we are making them now to be feeding the off-taker. In this case, the big players will become the off-takers.
The governors have promised to adopt these measures even after COVID-19, and the result should be a more developed economy and social infrastructure in the country.
As the easing of the lockdown begins on Monday, anyone who fails to wear a face mask will be prosecuted. This warning is contained in the guidelines released today by the federal government as the country begins to implement the first phase of the lockdown relaxation. A statement from the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation explains that starting Monday, May the 4th, an 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. daily curfew will be in place across the country in line with the President's directive. Other actions for the easing of the lockdown include mandatory provision of hand-washing facilities and sanitizers in all public places, ban on interstate movements save for essential travels and services, gathering of more than 20 people outside of a workplace is prohibited. The guidelines also include controlled access to markets and locations of economic activities, compulsory temperature checks to be conducted in public spaces, social distancing of 2 meters to be maintained between people in workplaces as well as other public places. However, in Ogun State, residents may have to wait 1 week more before the lockdown is relaxed. The governor, Dapo Abiodun, who announced the extension in Abeokuta, also reminded them that it's compulsory to wear face masks when outside their homes, warning that defaulters will be trialed by mobile courts. However, some businesses will be allowed to open on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
In line with Mr. President's address to the entire nation, the lockdown is in place. However, the lockdown will begin to relax gradually and in phases from Monday, 4th May, in consideration of the peculiarity of the different states. To this end, our relaxation window remains Monday, 4th May, Wednesday, 6th May, and Friday, 8th May. The new time frame will, however, now be from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on those days. These will give our people ample time to conduct necessary economic activities and to get to their various homes before the commencement of a daily curfew as directed by Mr. President. For the avoidance of doubt, the curfew is from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. every day, and these will be strictly enforced. Let me restate that, as I announced last week, the use of face mask is now compulsory in public. We have procured as a state government over 1 million face masks, and we have begun the distribution of those across the state to groups such as market women, artisans, transport unions, law enforcement agencies, civil servants, religious groups, amongst others. Nevertheless, everybody has a personal responsibility to procure and wear a face mask.
1 out of the 8 confirmed COVID-19 positive persons in Taraba State has escaped from the NYSC isolation center there. This is according to the chairman, Taraba State Technical Committee on COVID-19, Mr. Innocent Vakai, who told journalists in Jalingo, the state capital, that efforts are in top gear to get the patient, identified as Talatu Idris.
Of these 8 cases, 1 is the one that has exhibited symptoms and is currently undergoing treatment and care at the treatment center at the Taraba State Specialist Hospital. Whereas the remaining 5 who are not showing symptoms are also receiving Medicare at the orientation camp of NYSC. Unfortunately, one of the confirmed cases escaped from the camp by name Talatu Idris and ran to an unknown destination. However, we are making all efforts necessary and possible to see that we get her. So the public is therefore informed if they know the whereabouts of Talatu Idris, let it be known to the technical committee or the law enforcement agency.
22 more COVID-19 patients have been discharged from the isolation center in Lagos. The State Ministry of Health stated in a tweet that 8 of the patients are females, while 14 are males. All of them are said to be Nigerians. With this, the number of COVID-19 patients successfully managed and discharged in Lagos is now 247. From Lagos, we move to Osun State, where the COVID-19 index case has been discharged after testing negative twice for the virus. The case had arrived in Osun from the United Kingdom before being taken into the isolation center and then to a medical facility where he received care until his full recovery yesterday. 3 health workers who tested positive for the coronavirus have also tested negative for the 2nd time and are now free of the virus. The Commissioner for Health said its total number of active cases is now 8, noting that the state has also recorded another COVID-19 fatality, a patient in her 60s. 14 more Almajiri children who recently returned from Kano State have tested positive for COVID-19. The Special Advisor to the Kaduna State Governor on Media and Communications, Mr. Muyiwa Adekeye, says the new positives have increased active cases in the state to 41. The state has recorded its first death as well from COVID-19 pandemic out of the cases recorded so far. Now, the State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Amina Baloni, explained in a statement that the male patient who was among the 3 new COVID-19 cases recorded in the state on Thursday was a retired civil servant with underlying health conditions. He was said to have concealed his recent travel history to Kano, where he visited some hospitals. The state health officials are decontaminating the hospitals he visited in Kaduna State, while the staff who attended to him, as well as his family members, have been isolated. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. How to reposition Nigeria in the post-COVID-19 era takes center stage as Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and some state governors share their perspectives at the platform in Lagos. Federal government releases guidelines for the implementation of the first phase of the lockdown relaxation, vows to prosecute anyone who fails to wear a face mask. 22 more patients discharged from isolation centers in Lagos as Kaduna State records first death from COVID-19. And U.S. COVID-19 death toll rises above 65,000, the highest in the world. Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. Ahead of tomorrow's commemoration of the Press Freedom Day, the President is commending the media in Nigeria for a job well done as the country confronts the coronavirus. On the occasion of the World Freedom Day celebrated, the President issued a statement in Abuja, and he says that we cannot overemphasize the role of the media in keeping people informed and educated on the virus, which has no friend or foe. It simply seeks to mow down anyone and everyone in its path. And the public awareness is very important, as we've become like sitting ducks. The media are doing this quite effectively. Reflecting on the theme of the World Press Freedom Day 2020, which is Media for Democracy, Journalism and Elections in Times of Disinformation, President Buhari believes that Nigeria has a very unhealthy dose of disinformation, that's fake news, hate news, which has been given by the people who use different platforms, especially digital media. According to him, they don't mean well for us, and no country can afford to close its eyes to evil disinformation, especially what it can cause. In the plural polity like ours, it has the potential to rupture relationships, sow seeds of discord, and set the country on the path of destabilization when fake and hate news are added unabashedly. Oyo State has confirmed 8 more COVID-19 cases after 2 cases were recorded on Thursday. A UCH doctor returned from Kano and another worker with the State Security Service. Of the 8 newly confirmed cases, 6 are said to be Togolese and 2 others are indigents of Oyo State who reside in Obomosho. The State Ministry of Health says a confirmed case recorded in Kano is also being managed in Oyo State, and the total number of active cases in the state is now 20. The Almajiri system of education is one of the ways of seeking Islamic knowledge in the northern part of the country. But in recent times, the system is said to have contributed to the large number of out-of-school children in Nigeria. And this has led to government officials and security experts raising concerns on the danger it poses to the nation, especially in terms of security. In this next report, we look at the unfolding challenges arising from the Almajiri education system.
This Almajiri phenomenon, which we've been talking about, we cannot continue to push it under the carpet, because eventually it will come back to bite us big time.
That was the National Security Advisor alerting the nation concerning the security risk posed by the Almajiri system of education as run in most parts of northern Nigeria. His call for the scrapping of the system was greeted with criticism, especially from individuals who consider it as part of the people's culture and religious practice. Fast track to the present. With COVID-19 ravaging all parts of the country without regard to social class, and the fears of possible catastrophic consequences if the virus finds its way amongst the Almajiri population.
In the state in which these Almajiris are operating, can we say that their welfare is being taken care of? Is adequate security being provided for them? And being minors, somebody has to take that responsibility. If we do not deal with the issues relating to the Almajiris, we are building an army that would overwhelm us as a people and as a nation in the future.
That reality appears to be playing out now, prompting the Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje to trigger an exodus of Almajiri children from Kano.
But there are some children that cannot even inform you of their parents. They sleep in markets, they sleep under the bridges.
Since Governor Ganduje made that first move, some other governors have followed suit, sending hundreds of children to their home states.
Statistics have shown we have between 9 to 11 million children roaming the streets in northern Nigeria.
To put up in place policies and laws that will stop, even other people from allowing their children to go for these things.
Some of those children were tested for COVID-19 on arrival in Kaduna and were found to be positive. First, it was the fears that bordered on security of grooming children that could easily end up as future members of Boko Haram. Now, apart from being vulnerable to the ravaging coronavirus, these children are seen as instruments for faster transmission of COVID-19 in the society. COVID-19 may have provided the authorities a fresh opportunity to design a new future for this category of citizens and have them integrated as part of the nation's productive workforce, rather than allow a return to status quo.
To discuss more about this, we're being joined live from our studios in Kano by a senior lecturer, Federal University of Gusau, Dr. Abubakar Sadiq Haruna. A pleasure having you with us.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Haruna, given what is playing out at the moment, do you think the Almajiri system of education is sustainable?
Well, Almajiri system of education, as it is at the moment, requires a major overhaul and a kind of an upgrade in order to fit with the time. Considering the situation we are, the COVID-19 should be seen as a turning point for reordering the whole Almajiri system so that we will have a very perfect educational system that can go to every child in Nigeria. Because as it is now, the purpose for which Almajiri system was established in the past is gradually being eroded, and therefore there is need for government at all levels to look at this issue with a very critical look so that we can have a perfect system that can go with the time. And this perfect system has to be with the introduction of what we call integrating a Almajiri system into the mainstream Western education system, such that the education, the Quranic education and Islamic education being taught at the Almajiri schools will be taught alongside with Western education so that the student can have benefit of it and can also have the opportunity of being continuity, that is, opportunity of getting certification and getting recognition. And that can also help beneficiaries of this facility to be able to be recognized by the society and also be given the position they deserve in the society. Because as it is now, we have also you observe that majority of pupils who pass through this system, many of them, studies have shown that 6 out of 10 of these pupils don't even return back home. Their parents don't even know where about them. They sometimes end up being consumed by some of these diseases and consumed by hunger, and sometimes they also fall victims of this banditry and insurgency. And a recent study conducted in Kano last year showed that 97% of pupils complain that their parents don't even know where they don't even visit them in the Almajiri school. And even the condition in the Almajiri school is not even comfortable and befitting for children to dwell in and even learn. And it's not even convenient for learning. And therefore, the pupils there don't even get the purpose for which they are sent in. So,
Dr. Aruna, if I may,
for themselves. Yeah.
If I may come in, some have argued that the system is embedded in culture and religion of the people, but we know some other countries where the religion is practiced, but they don't have this Almajiri system.
It was a kind of a metamorphosis, because Almajiri system, of course, was in existence like in Pakistan, like in Egypt, and some countries like Malaysia and even Indonesia. But because of the change in time, they metamorphosed. In fact, they had to change the system in order to conform with the Western education system. And that is why they're making benefit of it. But in our own society, we put blames to, although it is not worthwhile to begin to shift blame, but we have to accept that three groups of people are responsible for this menace. The parent of the Almajiris, the elites, and of course the government. If these three groups can come together to look at this problem, of course you can have an integrated, an inclusive kind of education that even the Almajiri and the society will cherish. And this is where we call on government at all levels to look inwardly on in this issue of Almajiri integrated model school. Look at it and revitalize these schools and see how the school can be put to use. The curriculum there is a very friendly one. The teachers there, of course, can be upgraded by giving them some kind of training. Certification can be introduced there. The teaching of secular subjects alongside with Quranic and Islamic subjects can be matched together in such that the Almajiri can now be put in a place where they can be given adequate education. But the problem is, we must accept that politics must be out of this. Because in most of these states where these institutions are established, politics goes in there, corruption comes in there, and the schools suffer out of it. And if this, the recent ones established in places like Sokoto, we observe that the facilities being installed in such schools are no longer there. They have been taken away, and nobody cares to even check what is happening there. So government must be serious, seem to be serious to look into this. This is a very serious issue that we have to, especially at this turning point, this period in time, we are in a very serious, critical moment where the COVID-19 should be seen as a turning point to reorder this issue. We have to face this problem squarely. We have to keep our blames. We must come out and look at this matter squarely and professionally so that we get ourselves out of this problem.
Now, Dr. Haruna, briefly, can you tell us your reactions on the relaxation of the curfew in Kano State? Just briefly.
Action on?
The curfew in Kano State.
Well, the curfew in Kano State is more of a placebo rather than panacea, because I look at the whole thing as being a kind of caricature of what we expect to see. There is a policy that people should stay at home. Then the policy is only working on the main street. But if you go into the interior, there's something is like it's not even existing. Well, they sit at home, and even isolation, of course, is not seen. Very major roads. So government should also deploy security agencies to the interior part of the cities to ensure that the rules are complied to the latter. Otherwise, the problem we are scared of certainly will come in, and that's why we don't pray it comes into Kano. This is our fear.
Dr. Haruna, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the News at 10.
Thank you very much.
When the News at 10 returns, we stay with the COVID-19 pandemic. Plus, Kaduna State Governor recommends adoption of new business model to match socio-economic changes and disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. And that will be on Business News. Join us again. Welcome back. The Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje has announced the relaxation of the lockdown order imposed on the state with the consent of the president. Governor Ganduje said Mondays and Thursdays will be lockdown-free days from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. in order to ease the challenges during the month of Ramadan. The state governor explained that only some markets where perishable items are sold would be allowed to operate on those days to reduce the spread of the COVID-19 virus. Besides the two markets, no other one will be allowed to open, save for supermarkets, which list will be announced on local radio stations. With the rising cases of COVID-19 in the state government says it's targeting more testing centers, as the richest man in Africa, Mr. Aliko Dangote, is donating a mobile testing center with the capacity of testing 400 people daily. This is in addition to the one at the Aminu Kano Teaching Hospital Testing Center with a capacity of 88 samples per day, and coming up of another testing center at the Bayero University in Kano with a capacity of conducting 20 samples per day. Four more deaths have been recorded in Lagos State, and this brings the total number of deaths in the state to 25. The Ministry of Health announced this on its Twitter handle. The ministry had earlier announced 22 more COVID-19 patients were discharged from the isolation center in Lagos. It stated that 8 of the patients are female, while 14 are male, all of them said to be Nigerians. With this, the number of COVID-19 patients successfully managed and discharged in Lagos remains 247. In Anambra State, there will also be an easing of lockdown from Monday, that's May the 4th, in the absence of any active case of COVID-19 in the state. Governor Willie Obiano announced this during a statewide broadcast where he said the next phase of the state's plan to reduce the spread of the virus is an active community search for people with COVID-19 symptoms in all local government areas.
There is no active COVID-19 case in Anambra State. As a result of this, our next battlefront with COVID-19 is to mount an active search for people with COVID-19 symptoms in all the communities in Anambra State. The NCDC, the WHO, the UNICEF have assured us of their support to ensure the success of this effort. So I implore you to cooperate with our specially trained COVID-19 team when they visit your community. Our borders are locked, complete lockdown. Students are still at home. They are not part of the people that are reopening. This disease has come to stay with us, and we must find a way to live with it.
The total number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in Nigeria has risen to 2,170 following the announcement of 238 new cases by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, in 22 states. The agency also confirmed that 351 patients have been discharged and a total of 68 deaths recorded. Of the new cases, there are 92 in Kano, 36 in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. The numbers in Lagos have changed now, but there were 30 in Lagos, 16 in Gombe, 10 in Bauchi, 8 in Delta, 6 in Oyo, 5 in Zamfara and Sokoto, 3 cases each in Kwara, Edo, Ekiti, Borno, and Yobe State. Adamawa has 2 cases, while Niger, Imo, Ebonyi, and Rivers, and as well as Enugu, have 1 new case. Lagos in Southwest now has the highest number of cases, followed by Kano, overtaking the FCT, which has the highest tally in the North Central region with 214. Gombe State has 92 cases and the highest number in the Northeast. Edo has the highest number in the South-South with 47 cases, while Enugu State leads the Southeast with 4 cases. Oli, Kogi, and Cross River have no cases. Although the lockdown imposed on some states is being eased, schools will remain shut as the need to maintain social distancing remains crucial. But for the government, learning must continue via online platforms. In this next report, our technology correspondent, Victor Matthias, takes a look at the operation and effectiveness of this model as the country battles with the COVID-19 pandemic.
American human rights activist Malcolm X once said, "Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." This, perhaps, is why the Nigerian government, despite easing the stay-at-home directive, is not opening schools but moving it online as the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic continues.
At the Ministry of Education, the focal point is the ICT Directorate. And we've always asked, all our states to please get in touch with the portal that we've created for this so that they can take on the content that we have provided.
Effective technology combined with great teachers and engaged students has the potential to transform the entire education world.
During a visit to one of the schools in Lagos State, we catch up with a teacher whose schedule remains the same, but not for the pupils.
Racked up chairs, empty tables. Times have changed and so has teaching with it. This class ordinarily by this time of the year would have been filled with students, but this is the situation, and that's as a result of the outbreak of the coronavirus.
Who can tell me what we learned last week? How to
make dreams ahead of college.
Thank you. COVID-19 has not really affected us because, as you can see, we can teach our children online. They can do their assignments online. They can take their notes, read their notes, do everything online. Except for the fact that we are not in a classroom in the school for them to sit down for us to teach them. I'm adding multiple effects.
As the online classes go on, we go around to see how the students are faring at home and what their challenges are.
I've been learning well from home, but I want the network to be better.
I want to go back to school because I get to have like a longer period of stuff to do.
Oh, he doesn't like it.
We also caught up with students in secondary school to share their side of the story. The elections, with 3 children, also led us into their home, where online classes were ongoing.
It actually has been effective. Like I'm learning in normal school. And if I don't really understand, the teacher can just simply post the document or the file they used on our Teams, so I can easily teach myself.
For the parents, the system is working, but extra effort from them is needed to make the system effective.
My husband has to keep a check to make sure that they are following their timetable and being in class, because with online schooling, they can actually put their mics on and everything and walk out, and they are not learning. So if you have such children, it won't be effective.
No additional cost. We're not paying anything to the school. We're not paying anything to anybody. Aside that, we're home anyway, so we're data dependent. Everybody has to use data at this time. So apart from the airtime that we use to connect, and then the device that we already have. So.
On thread.
Though this is already in place, some Nigerians have cited high cost of internet in urban areas, epileptic power supply, and slow internet in rural areas as factors that may affect the effective implementation of the e-learning project. Victor Matthias, Channels Television News.
The Edo State government has confirmed the screening of over 40,000 persons in the state for COVID-19 symptoms, leveraging on a strategic partnership with private hospitals, clinics, and pharmacies. The state governor, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, who mentioned this in Benin City, the state capital, noted that the screening is conducted in designated primary healthcare centers in the state's 18 local government areas, mobile post-screening centers that move across the 192 wards, as well as private medical facilities. According to him, the screening centers also offer free medical checkup, free vitamins and face masks, as well as other precautionary measures to beat the virus. And the business world is taking a pounding, no thanks to the coronavirus pandemic. Teniola will be telling us more about that on Business News.
Thanks, Melinda. Welcome to Business News. As the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic continues to take its tolls on all sectors of socio-economic activities across the country, there is need for the creation of a new business module to adapt with the changes and disruption caused by the pandemic. The governor of Kaduna State, Mr. Nasser El-Rufai, made the recommendation today in a live interview on Nigeria's leading national development idea conference, The Platform. He explains that new business opportunities will come up despite the negative effects of the coronavirus pandemic.
For us, the post-COVID economy will be a different kind of economy. The new normal post-COVID, when we get out of this, and I know we'll get out of this by the grace of God, will open up opportunities in other areas. Many industries and businesses will take such a hit that they may never recover. Hotels and tourism and such businesses are going to take a big hit. Transportation, aviation are all going to take a big hit. However, there are new areas of new businesses that will be able to absorb people with the appropriate skills. For instance, online businesses, online grocery stores that you order your groceries online and they are delivered to you. The logistics delivery business will thrive. New businesses should come up. And here in Kaduna State, we're actually encouraging the emergence of logistics businesses because we don't want people going to the market now or even after post-COVID to be going to the market and mixing too much, buying groceries. You can order online and it can get delivered to you.
Well, the impact of the COVID-19 has taken a toll on most businesses globally, and operators in the small and medium sector are the worst hit. This is according to the Director General of the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mrs. Victoria Akai, who is encouraging owners of small businesses to key into the central bank's 50 billion naira intervention fund to cushion the effects of the pandemic on their businesses.
The impact of the pandemic it varies on our members. It has been disastrous. Some businesses might never recover. Some businesses will recover, but it would take a long time. Yes, accepted. Some businesses, like the ones that are into essential products, have done pretty well during this period. At this point, I would want to say that the government has also been quite supportive. They've helped to help our businesses, our members that are into essential products, move their products about more easily. We're really grateful to the government. We have also spoken to the Central Bank of Nigeria to please give some leverage to our members who also want to leverage on the COVID-19 50 billion CBN loan to help their businesses survive these adverse effects.
A number of large oil companies are expected to cut their output in OPEC Plus countries as the agreement made by members and non-members of the group takes effect this month. This comes as oil giant Royal Dutch Shell posted a $24 million net loss in the first quarter of 2020 and cut its dividend for the first time since 1945. The company said it has cut activity at its refining business by up to 40% following the collapse in global oil demand caused by the coronavirus pandemic. The United States' biggest oil company, ExxonMobil, on Friday posted its first quarterly loss in 3 decades, reporting a $610 million quarterly deficit due to plunging oil demand and falling prices. Well, the stock market's main index crossed back to the 23,000 level, while total value of listed equities is again at the corridor of 12 trillion naira after sustained interest for high-value stocks lifted both indicated by 1.87% in 4 trading sessions this week. Investors' preference for equities was mostly evident on MTN Nigeria's share after the telecoms giant recorded an impressive first quarter result, as well as banking stocks, which overshadowed significant losses from the consumer and the industrial goods counter. With a 20.94% price increase, Adova, formerly known as Forte Oil, tops a list of 20 gainers for the week. Nigerian breweries led 19 other losers, down by 13.4%, while 115 equities were unchanged. Total volume of shares traded within 4 sessions this week were lower by 183 million units compared to last week's trading at 1.1 billion, and these were largely driven by the shares of FBN Holding, UBA and Zenith Bank. And that's business news tonight. It's back to you, Melinda.
Many thanks, Teniola. Still ahead on the news at 10. English Football Association says financial losses from COVID-19 shutdown could reach $375 million. Plus, US COVID-19 death toll rises above 65,000, the highest in the world. Join us again. The world of sports is also losing money as well. Ayotune will be telling us why on Sports News.
Many thanks, Melinda. The English Football Association says the financial losses from sports grinding to a halt during the coronavirus pandemic could reach $375.1 million. Board members of the governing body met over conference call where finances dominated the agenda and worst-case scenarios were discussed, with the initial forecast of $187.5 million impact considered conservative. With uncertainty over this season's FA Cup, England matches and events staged at Wembley Stadium, the Football Association executive team have cut $93.76 million from the annual budget, which could continue for 4 years to offset their deficit. Football in England has been suspended since March the 9th, and the government is looking to review lockdown restrictions on May the 7th. Manchester United FC players are seeking legal advice over missed pay rises that will cost them up to a combined $62.5 million if coronavirus pandemic ends the current season. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's squad were due to be awarded 25% pay hikes if they qualified for the UEFA Champions League. A host of other top-flight clubs have bonuses inserted in certain players' contracts, paying up to $625,000 for reaching Europe's elite competition. But Man United stars are set to lose more than any other club, as European participation is virtually linked to their basic pay. Man United currently sit 5th in the English Premier League, but could qualify thanks to neighbours Manchester City's 2-year European ban. In Italy, FC Napoli has been given the green light to restart training on Wednesday, May the 6th, by regional authorities following the COVID-19 pandemic shutdown. Campania is the second region in Italy to allow its Serie A club to recommence preparations under strict health guidelines at their training ground after Bologna, Parma, Spal and Sassuolo were given similar clearance. Lazio, which hosts the Rome-based club of the same name and city, rivals AS Roma, Hellas Verona and Cagliari are expected to follow suit. Italy is preparing to relax its lockdown on Monday, May the 4th. And that's Sports News. I am Ayotunde Balu.
Thanks, Ayo. More than 65,000 coronavirus-related deaths have been reported in the United States, but some experts fear the real figure could be much higher. New data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention show that total deaths in 7 hard-hit states were almost 50% higher than normal during the period of March to April.
The United States has by far the highest number of coronavirus cases and deaths in the world. But according to new data, researchers fear as many as 9,000 additional deaths in the country could be linked to the coronavirus. Over in Europe, runners and cyclists crowded the streets of Spain, emerging from their homes for the first time after 7 weeks of living under one of Europe's strictest coronavirus lockdowns. Until last week, Spain was the only country in Europe where children under 14 could not leave home at all.
I think that it's very great to go out, so I decided to run today. And I feel like in a historical moment, like with everybody out like this, so
I'm very happy about this, and I think that people are quite respecting the rules, so I think it's a very happy moment.
Spain has suffered one of the world's worst outbreaks of the coronavirus, with more than 213,000 cases and 24,500 deaths. Face masks will be compulsory on public transport in the country from Monday. Elsewhere in Europe, the United Kingdom's COVID-19 death toll has risen to 28,131, just short of Italy, which has had the deadliest coronavirus outbreak among European countries. In more worrying development, Russian Construction Minister Vladimir Yakushev has gone to hospital with coronavirus just a day after the Prime Minister did so. President Vladimir Putin is now ruling via video conference from a residence just outside Moscow. In the past 24 hours, 9,623 more people tested positive for COVID-19 in Russia, more than half of them in the capital. And finally, the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases has surpassed 40,000 across Africa, including nearly 2,000 deaths and more than 13,000 recoveries. South Africa has recorded the most cases on the continent, with 6,336, followed closely by Egypt with 6,193. Meanwhile, Algeria has the most fatalities with 459.
And the main news again. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, and some state governors today shared their perspectives on how to reposition Nigeria in the post-COVID-19 era at the platform Nigeria, organized by the Covenant Nation in Lagos. Also today, the Ministry of Health in Lagos announced 4 more deaths, 22 more patients discharged from the isolation centers in Lagos as Kaduna State records first death from COVID-19. And the governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, today announced the relaxation of the lockdown order imposed on the state. That's the news at 10 tonight. I'm Melinda Kinlami. On behalf of the team, good night.